Welcome to Living a Life by Design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. Did you know your accountability and possibility is by design? God designed a phenomenal life for you, gave you the gift of choice. Esther helps empower you to discover and pursue the purpose that is already in you. Are you ready to look at yourself and see your future? Then get back to what is really important in life and get in alignment with your true self. Stay tuned to Living a Life by Design. Journey back to you and start living 365 days of purpose with your host, Esther Graham. It all starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living Your Life by Design with me, your host, Dr. Esther Graham. I'm so super excited that you made the decision, took the time to join me today. I'm so excited to have my guest, Charcee Starks, who is a transformational coach. Oh my gosh, I could start listing the things that she does. A project manager. She's a person that holds a lot of responsibilities, not just in business, but in personal life, and such a motivator of people in general. And I'm excited that she's joining with us today for a powerful conversation. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to read her bio. And as you listen, I want you to go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, or like with me, it's tea today, or grab your favorite beverage, a pen and a pad so you can take notes. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to read Charcee's bio for you as soon as I pull it up. And so Charcee is a transformational leader and coach and the founder of The House and the Woods, a sanctuary for leaders in identity transition. She curates experiences, people, and conversations that spark deep transformation, guiding high-level leaders, coaches, and visionaries through the space between who they have been and who they are becoming. With a passion for helping others lead with truth, sovereignty, and emotional integrity, Charcee supports those ready to reflect, confront, and courageously step into a more intentional life of desire. And what I can add just to that as well is that what that says is exactly what she does. So let's get started, Charcee, with our conversation today. So my first question for you is, can you break down why alignment doesn't always feel like alignment at first? So let me first tell you guys this. Our subject, our theme for today is alignment, because I talk about it a lot. I talk about making sure that we're aligned with what we're doing, right? Making sure, like our heart and our mind, they're in a line, that if one is saying yes and the other is saying no, that you're out of alignment. And let me just put this out there. Have you ever stepped into a room and when you walked in the room, you felt that this room didn't align with you? And I think that as we discuss alignment, I think there's deeper issues with that. So today we're going to spend a few minutes just going beyond surface level. And so you got to make sure you're listening, you're taking your notes, and listen. If not, you can always listen to the replay. And of course, share it with your friends, right? So Charcee, let's start with this idea again. Can you break down why alignment doesn't always feel like alignment at first?
Hi. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead with that.
So I think that the truth is that alignment is often romanticized, right? You hear it a lot. A lot of coaches say it. A lot of people are like, oh, I just want to feel aligned. And I do think that there's this like light, easy, and certain kind of like idea about alignment.
Yeah.
And what I've seen in myself, people that I support, is that alignment is often extremely uncomfortable. Right? It's often extremely unfamiliar, and it's really expensive emotionally, right? And
absolutely.
So, yeah, and alignment, it doesn't just it's not like this thing that just gives us clarity. Like, I'm aligned, now I have this clarity. It often asks for us to change. And it's letting go of all of the things that are safe and familiar and the things that we've known and have known and felt comfortable in, and the identity that we most connect to within ourselves, right? And that the moment that that happens, right, it's disorienting. Like it feels disorienting. And going from something that we thought was safe, right? We often confuse, I believe we confuse safety and familiarity with alignment, right? Like things that are familiar and things that feel safe, we decide that that means alignment. And I don't believe that that's always true,
No,
right?
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah. And so alignment doesn't always feel good because I believe it requires us to let go of an identity that we've worked really hard to become, or, you know, this person that we've been. But I don't really believe alignment's about ease. I believe it's about truth. And I think that that's why alignment doesn't always feel like alignment, you know?
That's because sometimes truth hurts. That's why it doesn't,
Absolutely. Right.
100% alignment is about truth. That's why sometimes when you step into a room and you don't feel as if that room is in alignment, that's because it lacks truth for you.
Absolutely.
And so,
100%.
yeah. And so sometimes, hey, let's just face it. We all know, we say it many times, the truth sometimes hurt. So when I'm trying to get in alignment, I'm now trying to be in truth.
Right.
100%. And
Right.
sometimes that's not good. So yeah,
Right.
I've been there.
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
been there.
yeah, you know, I recently left a position at a job that I had worked years to obtain, right? Like it was my dream job. It came to fruition. I had worked really hard for it. I started working there 2 days a week answering phones, and I've worked my way up this company into a very high leadership position within the company. And it was all the things. I was making the money I wanted. I had a great community around me. It was the job that I longed for, and it was considered safe. I was good at it. You know, I had a great relationship with the people there. I had a great relationship with the CEO, but internally something was off.
Yeah.
And the safe thing to do would have been to stay there, right? The safe thing to do would have been to stay with what I know, to stay with what's familiar, to keep doing what I'm doing, right?
I
And
know I've done that. Oh yeah.
but the offness was the realization, like, I'm in the midst of my own identity collapse. And I had to pay attention to that. Like, the girl who worked so hard to build and dreamt of this job, I am no longer her. That identity is literally collapsing, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like where I was like, oh, this is it. This is this is why alignment doesn't feel aligned, you know?
So you mentioned your identity collapsing. Tell me exactly what does that mean for you and what does it look like so we can all have a clearer understanding. Identity collapsing, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think of collapsing, it's
like it's falling in on itself, right?
yes, exactly.
So my company is the house in the woods. And so this concept is really from like the idea that when like you live in the house, like that job was like the idea of the house, right? Like I worked really hard. I knew what I wanted. It's the four walls and the roof. I'm safe inside of it. I know exactly what it is. I know how to get around, like, and that was like the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Identity collapses the moment when the identity that you've been most connected to, the one that you've, earned you the love or earned you the job or worked really hard for the success or the belonging or the safety or whatever it is, that it starts to fall apart because it's no longer the truth, right? It's the moment you step out of the house that always felt comfortable, and not that it was wrong or not that you did something wrong or they did something wrong, but it's like your soul outgrew the structure, right? And in that moment, like that identity collapse, it ignites like grief and confusion and exhaustion and sometimes apathy or numbness, right? Not because you're failing, but Because the version of you that knew how to perform the tasks or achieve the job or hold everything together the way you always have can't lead anymore, because that identity has literally collapsed, right? And I don't believe the collapse is the breakdown, right? I think it's the threshold. It's like the step into the field between the house and the woods you want to get to. And the woods is freedom, right? The woods is alignment. The woods is all the things. But going from the house to the woods requires you to be in this field of the in between, like the moment between like who you no longer are. It's the moment of like the in between of who you've been and who you're becoming. It's like the gray area, right?
So then how would you know? Because this is so interesting and so powerful, because I think that many of us are in that, as leaders or where we are, many of our viewers. So how do you know when you're standing in between? How do you know that?
Yeah, so I really think it's like there's a number of things, but it's when you strip yourself of it's interesting because so many things can do it. Even more success can actually trigger this, right? But it's when you strip yourself of the roles and the titles and the identities that other people see you as, right? Like the doctor or the CEO or the mother or the,
The wife,
the
the
wife,
girlfriend, the
right?
boy, whatever,
Right. For me
Yeah.
and my family, I'm the dependable one. I'm the sister who everyone can count on. I'm the daughter who, it's like the other day my sister called me and she's like, they're on their way, they're trying to find a restaurant. I'm like, I got it. I'll send you the link. They're in California, I'm in Ohio. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
sending them this link so that they can find the restaurant because they're meeting up and now that she's driving and she doesn't know where she's going and all the things. And then her daughter from New Jersey calls her because she needs something. And my mom's immediate response, because my mom's in the car with her, is call your auntie, call your auntie Charcee. And my sister's like, no, we all always call Charcee. Like that's who I'm known as in my family, is like, call her, she'll figure it out, because I identify with being solution oriented.
Yeah.
So I have always had to find the solution inside of that. And now I don't want to be that anymore. And I can feel that identity collapsing, right? And it's like removing those titles and identities and definitions of yourself that really leave you kind of raw. And then that's when you figure out what your actual truth is.
So powerful. Yeah, everyone, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to continue this powerful conversation. Hey everyone, welcome back to Living Your Life by Design with my guest, Charcee Starks. And we are in a powerful conversation about alignment. And right now we're talking about when your identity collapses. So if you just joined us, make sure that you catch the replay, right? And also make sure that you share this with all of your friends, because again, this is another powerful conversation on the Living Your Life by Design podcast. Charcee, so let's continue. You said, I wanted to ask you, because you gave the example of your sister, they were going for a restaurant, they're calling you to find out, then the niece calls, and, because you are the result orientated person, you're the one that's going to solve that challenge. And what you're finding, what you said, make sure I have it right, that's not what you want to do anymore, right?
Right.
So, how do you change from doing that? What's the work through? I have a specific question I want to ask you, but what's the work through of that? How do you then, because it's not just changing now the results you want, but they have to change, because just because you made a decision that you don't want to do it anymore, that doesn't mean that they're going to stop reaching out to you.
Right. Correct. Right.
Or anyone for that fact.
Absolutely. And so many things come down to like my own personal boundaries and like really knowing there are times when I want to, right? There are times
Yeah.
and I have to recognize, am I falling back into the identity that can't actually carry me forward,
Yeah.
right? And or am I doing it as I'm still moving towards the version of myself that I want to become. Right. And
Mm,
so there are times when I will actually still like sending that link took me 2 seconds to figure out where they should go to lunch, like, but it also was like, had my sister let my niece call me, and then my mom reached out because of something else, and then my other sister couldn't find them. It just would have been like, I would have spent an hour or two in the version of myself that sacrifices my own desires to serve
yeah,
other
yeah,
people. And I don't want to live in that identity anymore. It does not feel aligned for me anymore to sacrifice my own desires for other people's comfort. And
yeah,
now that I know that, and I'm building and becoming this new version of myself, my my boundaries don't have to be rude or mean or anything. But what I did do when my sister was like, I told my niece, I told your niece not to call you because you're always doing that. And I just said, thank you. So I actually really appreciate that because I don't want to be in codependent relationships with all of my family,
yeah,
and that's a line for me. And thanking her, when you celebrate something, they repeat it.
yeah.
That's it. So I
Anything that's
actually
celebrated is repeated. Yeah.
celebrated what she did in that moment. And now it will land that, like, she thanked me for that. So this is something she wants.
Yeah.
That's going to land far further and go more your way than if you were like, why do you guys always call me? Blah, blah, blah? Like, that's not going to work.
Stop.
Stop calling me for everything, right? Because I've tried that, right? Like when I was
Doesn't work.
what do I do? Everybody's calling me. But if I just thank them for the times that they actually are respecting the boundary, they'll
Yeah,
respect the
yeah,
boundary more. And it
yeah,
doesn't really throw them too much. It doesn't actually become a problem within our relationship because they want to help me. They're my family, right? So while it's a little bit different and people are getting used to it, and it's not a overnight process, right? It's been a while. But I'm in the in between, and I really believe that in this in between is where self-leadership is born. And this is me practicing my own self-leadership, little by little, I'll get to, the woods of this identity, right?
yeah. In 100% agreement, because I think many of us, stand in that in between. And I love what you said because, so for so long, you've sacrificed what you wanted. You've sacrificed your for someone else. And now you're at the place where I don't want to sacrifice myself
Hmm.
for this or that. So for that person though, because many people, whether you're a leader in corporate America, a leader in your own business or in your home, right? You know, let's say if you're a high school student listening right now and you're a leader in high school, you're wherever you are,
Anywhere,
uh,
yeah.
anywhere, and you're like, you know what? There's some things that I need to let go. What would you say to our listeners who are saying, okay, I'm in that space right now. How do I let go? Because many of us, I know for me, have the fear. I know I've hurt myself. Let me just put it this way, because I had the fear of letting go of this or letting go of that person or letting go of that.
Right.
How do I lean into that fear of letting go and begin to trust the process of
Yes.
that? How do I do that?
Yes. So there's a couple of things. I think that like before that, like when you recognize that you're actually like in the in-between space, a
Mhm.
lot of it isn't, you're already sitting with things that don't feel good, right? Because the way the body tells you, the way that you know is exhaustion,
Mm,
burnout, confusion, like being apathetic about things. Like I knew when I kind of stopped caring about my job, I was like, yeah, it'll work out or it won't work out. Like when I stopped caring about the success of the things I was building, then I was like, okay, something's off because I'm a human who cares about, this. So
Yeah.
when you do start to realize that, that's when the fear comes up, right? Like that's where you have to, like, letting go of the job is one thing, but letting go of your identity is a completely different thing, right?
It
And so
is.
where the fear comes from is there's so many things, right? Fear is a nervous system reaction. It's just a response, right? So your fear is like on the normalest level, fear is really just your nervous system reacting, right? And one of the things that it's so crazy, I just started like really thinking about this because of a reel that I watched. But fear is afraid of greatness, right?
Yeah.
So if something greater than you is outside of you, you're the animalistic rawest form of the way fear shows up in the body, even in animals, birds, anything, is fear,
Yeah.
right? Because the thing that's outside of you that's greater than you, right? So if you're standing in front of a bear and a bear's there, you're going to be scared, right? Like it's going to ignite fear.
Hmm.
But the body really can't distinguish between the fear of greatness that is your own greatness,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fear of greatness that is something bigger and scary for you. So we respond the same. We internally, fear comes up because we're responding the same. So building a life of desire is scary, but that fear is only a reminder that you're actually moving towards greatness. So knowing you might be able to have everything you want and that it could be a lot to accept, and there's all of these positive possible things in front of you, it will still ignite fear because, like I said, the nervous system cannot distinguish between the fear of greatness of a bear or the greatness of your future,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's trying to keep you safe. Your nervous system tells you you're in fear because it's trying to keep you safe. But
Yeah.
safety isn't in the controlling of the thing, right? Your safety is actually in your sovereignty. It's in your own authority. It's in your own self-power. It's in your own self-leadership. It's in the ability to build the emotional capacity to accept what is coming, right? And not from like a place of like, oh, a clarity, right? But a place of like, because knowing is different than experiencing, right? Which
Yes.
we know.
Yes.
And so it's from a place of like, as I take every step towards who I'm becoming, whether it's scary or not, I chose the step and I stand by the step that I chose,
Yeah.
right? And so you don't always have to feel ready. You just have to know that you need to stay willing. You need to stay open to your own greatness. And
Yes.
the nervous system isn't afraid of the future. It's afraid of what's unfamiliar. And every step you take, you'll get a little bit more familiar with this new version of yourself, and then it won't be so scary.
I was going to say it's important to take the steps. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, then you'll never be on that path to becoming. And are we ever ready? There are some things I say, oh, I'm ready for this. But the
Right.
majority of the things we're not ready, especially
Correct.
of familiar, like, oh, no, I don't know if I'm ready for it. But you will never be ready until you lean into that and until you take that step. So you talk about the woods a lot, and we're talking about alignment and desire. Tell me, what's your thoughts on how does desire then, our desire, right, fit into alignment? Oof. Because I think that maybe we have some desires that's out of alignment and we don't know it until we step in like, whoa, I wanted this chocolate cake,
Yes.
you know, but it was
Yeah.
really not in alignment with my weight release, let's say.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Or my
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. So, and what's really great about this question is it ties into the truth.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
So, I would say it like simply, desire is your own sacred compass.
Yeah.
Like simply, right? Because a lot of times we think desire is selfish, right? And it's not selfish. It is sacred, right? Because it's the moment you're asking yourself, like, what do I truly want?
Yeah.
Truly, right? And so your desire to eat this is a perfect example. Your desire to eat the cake was not your true desire if weight release is what you truly want,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was just a momentary desire versus
Yeah.
a permanent desire.
Yeah.
And those two things are extremely different. Like you can eat the cake in the moment, right? You can. That's fine, but it's not going to get you to your true desire,
No, definitely not.
right? And
Especially
then
weight release, right? Yeah,
right, exactly, if that's your
exactly.
true desire.
Yeah.
And if you really do get to your true desire, if you really do stay aligned with that, and you really you know, sometimes you do have to strip away all the things, like I said, the labels and the
Absolutely.
self-identities and all the things to really get in tuned with what is my true desire and what do I truly want, even if I've never let myself want it, even if I've never let myself dream about it, but I can now, even if it's foreign or different than anything I've ever known, like, can I now? Can I now touch that a little bit and let that be my compass inside of the steps that I take to where I'm going, right? But so many people, and this is gonna like bring up, I'm sure, more of a conversation, but so many people bury their desire
It's just
under
about,
under their duty or under shame or under the misbelief that whatever that is isn't meant for them.
yeah, yeah.
And I believe that uncovering what your true desire is absolutely 100% without a doubt the key to alignment.
I 100% agree, and we will be right back to continue this conversation. Let's take a break. Welcome back to Living a Life by Design with me, your host, Dr. Esther Graham, and our guest today is Charcee Starks. I keep wanting to say Dr. Charcee Sparks. Maybe that's just
Oh, you're putting, I'll take it. I'll take it.
anyway. So,
I don't want to go through all that school, but I'll take it.
so we ended with alignment and desires. Really, what is it that you desire? And sometimes, really discovering what we want or what we really desire. And I think many times that we hide what we really desire. We often it's hidden. I think you used a couple of things. What did you say? It by the truth, or
Yeah,
sometimes
desires hidden, behind duty or shame or
behind duty, behind shame, which is where I want to talk about that just a little bit. Sometimes our desire is hidden under religion. It's hidden under culture or cultural expectations, family expectations, right? So many times what we desire, and this is why I love what you're saying, because the program is called, Living Your Life by Design. My retreats are life, I've got a whole life by design pillars and everything, which are part of that, because I really believe that God has created, He's designed us, and each of us have a different design, which leads into our desire, because my desire comes out to my design. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, but yet it is hidden. We can't be in a line, because many times I think we struggle with, this is what I really want. This is what I really desire, but I can't do it because, or I
Right.
can't do that because.
Yeah, and most people aren't even willing to say what they desire.
Exactly. Because
The people that they love or the people in
yes,
their environment or their community, because sometimes it's so out of that kind of alignment, out of
yes,
their alignment, that we aren't even willing to say it out loud for the exact thing, like the shame,
The
how
sh-
people will see us, how they will react to our,
Mhm.
or also how they
Shame
will
and the guilt, the shame and the guilt,
absolutely.
because I know for me personally, there were some things that, like when I started the whole life by design, and when I really got into, no, this is what this is, and I'm still moving towards my desire with that. And what is it I desire? We're afraid. And so then we have shame and we have guilt because it's not, it's not that it's even not in alignment with us. And sometimes it's not in alignment with what we were taught
Correct.
or somebody else's alignment, but not truly yours.
Correct.
How do you deal with that? I love how do you begin to lean in to all of that and the guilt and the shame of that? Let's talk about that a bit.
Oh, shame and guilt are such heavy weighted things. I really think
Has to be
I'm
a
glad
whole
you
other
brought up
podcast, y'all. We're gonna come back on
right.
and we're just gonna focus on shame because it is. And I think in the world that we live in today, that we deal a lot with this. That's why our world is the way it is today.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you brought up religion and culture and inside of those things that are so big and so widely accepted, right? In our world and in our communities and all of that, honestly have a thread of you should feel shame if you don't do this, or you should be guilty if you don't do this. And I just don't feel like when you're living in your truth, that actually won't be part of your identity, right? Like, I'm not ashamed of certain things that I thought for years, coming out gay as a teenager was a huge, huge thing that, like, shame, guilt, like internal sadness, feeling like I disappointed my family, like all of those things. And now I'm like, I'm loud and proud, right? Like, I just don't have the same feelings around it because I have shifted the identity from someone who felt like you should be shameful of this into someone who is proud of who she is. It took going through this field, right? Grieving and thinking
Yeah.
you'd lose people and not feeling like you know which way you're going. But now that part of me is so aligned that anyone else's judgment of it really doesn't penetrate anything for me,
Yeah.
right? So you know, I know you're about to say something and I want to
No,
hear.
it's like, no, but because it's so powerful, because I think about myself, like I'm a God girl, I'm a Jesus girl. That's how I grew up. And I 100% believe in it. But because I found I had a lot of guilt and shame, and sometimes wouldn't move into exactly what I desired and what I wanted to do and what I believed I was designed, created to do, is because I had the guilt and shame. Because although you know, I'm a Christian, I'm a God girl, I'm a Jesus girl, but I didn't necessarily believe what you believed.
Right, right,
And I remember at times I felt like if I had to fit myself into what everybody else believed, so I wouldn't have to deal with the guilt and the shame. But then what I dealt with for years was alignment. I felt as if just not in alignment. I just don't agree with that. And so I slowly began to speak out. Well, now I just speak out. And now it's like, well, that's it. This is what I'm doing here.
right.
I don't believe in religion in terms of, I think religion separates us. It doesn't bring us together. I believe in relationship. Religiosities, that can stop us from living in alignment.
Absolutely.
Not can, it does stop us from living in alignment. So that's why y'all, listen, it's powerful what she's saying here, because it's so important for us to be able to live in an alignment so we can live in truth.
Right.
Right. And if we don't, then we will deal with a lot of that guilt and shame. So spend a couple minutes talking about that. And then I'm going to ask you what is it that you want our listeners to walk away with today?
Perfect. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like anytime you feel shame, it's kind of like an indication that
Yeah.
you're doing something that is unaligned
Yeah.
for either one of two things. Your
Yeah.
shame is because it's unaligned for someone else's definition of what you should be doing, or
Yeah.
it's unaligned for your own true definition of what you should be doing. And differentiating those things really requires knowing your true desire, again, really checking in and tapping in with yourself. But I I think that the shame itself and the guilt itself are indicators. They're moments for us to really slow down and pay attention, right? Like I don't know if, I mean, I guess because I don't feel a lot of shame and guilt anymore. Just I just haven't in such a long time. But I am working with so many people now where it's a really good question is, what are you actually ashamed of?
Mhm.
Like what's actually like the thing that you're ashamed of?
And going cellular with that, not doing the surface level, this is what I'm meant to know, because there's always something deeper, like it's asking
Hmm.
why and why and why, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like and guilt and shame run so closely, right? They're hand in hand, and generally when you feel guilty for something, it's because you think you should have done something else.
Hmm.
Right? When you're guilty about it, like when you're feeling that guilt, you should have made a different choice. And a lot of times the reason you feel guilty is because whoever was impacted by it was impacted negatively. But it
Hmm.
doesn't mean you're unaligned. And that's why sometimes alignment doesn't feel good because, for instance, when I started saying no to my family when they needed things, I felt guilty for the version of me that felt like I should always say yes.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
felt empowered for the version of me that I was becoming. And so you really have to play inside of that feeling and really recognize, where is the shame coming from? Where is the guilt coming from? Is it because of an external expectation of you, because of what the church thinks, or because of what your family thinks, or because of what your environment thinks? Or is it
Culture, your
coming?
ethnicity,
Right.
everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. Any
Oh, yeah.
any external factor that played into the belief systems that no longer serve you, the guilt will come from out there.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if you are moving inside of your own true desires and you are aligned with your truth and you feel guilty, it's because something's off. And you have to then go in and pay attention to, like, why did you do that? Why did you make that move? Like, now I feel more guilty when I say yes to something I should say no to, because it doesn't feel good for me. And then the
Yeah.
guilt isn't really about them. It's about, like, I feel guilty because I let myself down,
Yeah.
which is a totally different playground.
Yeah. Totally different playground.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Powerful conversation. We're going to take a break and we will be right back. Hey everyone, welcome to Living Your Life by Design. I was back here going, woo, dancing because this is such a good conversations. But I have to tell you that every guest host that I have, all of them bring powerful conversations. And if you can listen to what they're saying and take small steps to implement it in your life, I guarantee you that you will begin to see not just change in your life, you'll begin to see some transformation in your life. Many of us want transformation. We want change, but now it's time to do the work. Let's not talk the talk. Let's walk the walk. So, Charcee, what are some takeaways that you can give our listeners? That we've talked about alignment and why it doesn't feel good. We've talked about shame and guilt. What is it that they can do right now? Because I'm sure someone is saying, wait a minute, wow, I know that I'm not in alignment with this. I'm not sure what my desires are. I feel guilty about this. What can you tell us? I gave you a whole lot, right? It's like,
Yes.
got to process it through. And I'm
I
talking fast.
I think You do that sometimes. I think that like pause for the emergence, right?
Yeah.
Pause, you hear this like slow down to speed up, but inside of this, inside of alignment in this topic, really like pausing for the uncovering of your actual desires and who you are is a requirement. So it's okay if it feels unfamiliar. It's like slowing down isn't failure. Stopping isn't failure. You're not broken, you're becoming.
Yeah.
And your leadership lives inside your willingness to walk through the unknown to get to where you want to go. And and all of that is going to be, like I said, your desire is your sacred compass. And you know that you're on path because it's aligned with your internal truth,
Mhm.
right? And so you don't need to walk where everyone's walked. I told one of my clients yesterday, I said, you don't need a map, you need a machete. This isn't like going to be this clean path already written for you. Like you
Yeah.
have to be willing to fight for your internal truth to be aligned with your desire and walking into your own woods. You know, when when the house that the metaphorical house, when that structure is too small for your soul, go build the cabin the size of your soul. Like go make it what you want it to be. And inside of that, it's walking through this field of the unknown in between who you were and who you will be. And really knowing like this is the place and space of becoming, not broken.
Yeah.
Right. And I really feel like if you can hold on to that and move inside of that, you're really going to know that like every step will lead you to feel a little bit more familiar with this new version of yourself.
And I think that's the piece that is important. It's making the steps, and every step will make you feel comfortable with this new person that you're becoming, right? And that's what you just said, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I think about my own story, as I began to shift and change some things to really, this is what I desire. This is what I want. This is what I believe. Every step towards that is like, okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and take this other step. And then it's amazing. I want to tell the viewers, it's amazing. You'll look back and you'll say, whoa, that was me. And this is me now.
Absolutely.
Also feel that inner peace and content.
Absolutely. Because you've reclaimed yourself. Right? You're
Yes.
at the point where you've reclaimed yourself. Like now you're not, when you get through it, you're not in the in between anymore. You're there. It's actually a reclamation of this is who I am now, right? Let me reintroduce myself, right?
Yeah.
Like I am a whole new person. And while there will always be external factors that maybe don't want to see you change or don't want well, people are comfortable with who you are, especially when you're someone who just gives and gives and gives and gives, or you're someone who is solution oriented and solves all the problems and takes care of the things, or you're the grounded, strong one. So everybody else's anxiety, they land on you for their grounding. Like, of course they don't want you to change,
Of course not. Of course.
right? But once you become the new version of yourself, they will acquiesce. They will understand that this is who you are now. And that shift in you will create shift in how people deal with you or interact with you
And
or
for those who
move with
chose
you.
not to,
They will
that's
not.
not you. They're not your people.
They
They
will they will
just
find their way out. And it is,
find their way
and
out.
that's why there's so much grief involved in this. And that's why there is so much, feeling like it's not aligned when it's not aligned, when it is alignment. And there's confusion. And like I said, the things that come up are exhaustion, confusion, like numbness. And it all comes because you do have to go through some of this in order to feel all of what you're meant to feel and become exactly who you're meant to become. So don't stop because it doesn't feel great. Like don't just stop because, oh, this doesn't feel great or it doesn't feel like me. Like know that that old version of you is going to try to pull you back every single step, right? Just keep walking. Just keep
Exactly.
walking.
I was with a really good friend, and we were going somewhere out to dinner, and there was going to be several people there, and and they just wanted to give me a heads up and said, "Hey, so and so is going to be there, blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm fine." I said, I am who I am, and I'm going to be who I am, and no matter what they do or say, it's not going to affect me. I'm just going to be Esther." And so that was big for me, and you know, it was different. And she said, because you know, for me, as well as maybe others out there, you've kind of pulled yourself back because, you know, you're trying to, let me just go ahead and no, let me just go ahead and be Esther. And if you don't like Esther, you can always get up and leave. But what I'm not going to do is not be me. The
Right.
days for that are over. And
Right.
so that's what we're speaking of here, being in alignment with who you are, who you were created to be. You know, really rediscovering that. So, Charcee, how can we get a hold of you? How can my listeners, my viewers get a hold of Charcee Starks?
Well, in person, we actually, Esther and I, we co-facilitate retreats. So, you know, they can find us through that. We have the Life by Design retreat that's coming up in May of next year in Grenada. But if you want to work with me personally, one-on-one, I prefer to have one-on-one conversations with you. I like people to reach out to me directly, so I know if I'm a good fit or aligned to where you're at and where you're going. So that's easy. That's an email. It's hello@thehouseandthewoods.com. Or, you know, find me all over the
Call
world.
me. You can reach out to me. I can find her. I know how to find her. Yeah. Charcee will also be. So my next live event, everyone, is October 10th and 11th. And the theme for that event is Your Next is Now. And I'm excited about it. It's going to be a phenomenal event. And it's going to be for an entire day on the Friday evening, and then Saturday half day, because we've got another event that evening to head to. And Charcee will be there. I've asked her to facilitate a workshop for me that is going to be powerful. She's going to do one, then we'll do one together as well. So make sure that you connect to me, connect to Charcee. You'll get the information. You could always go to esthergraham.com. You could also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. Charcee, are you on LinkedIn or Facebook or any of that, or no? Well, you are, but you prefer email, but okay.
Or email, but I'm on all of the things.
Yeah. And we'll be posting even about the live event, the posting and all of the information for it will be coming out soon. So you don't get to miss on the goodness. Anything that's good, information that's good, where people are going to live out their life and be stronger and be better and just really walk in complete alignment and purpose by design, by desire, right? It's always never one and done. You always have to lean into it, and you always have to sacrifice, and you have to just go for it, right? Because you only have one life to live, just one life. My question to you is, how are you going to live your life that God has given you here, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Charcee. I appreciate you. I love you. And guys, thank you for joining me. And I will see you next time on Living Your Life by Design. Take care and live every day with intention. God bless. Bye.
You have been listening to Living a Life by Design, the journey back to you, and living 365 days of purpose with host Esther Graham. Listen or watch live every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. Esther helps you ignite that energy behind your personal journey for a deeper joy and peace, living 365 days of purpose. For more information on living a life by design, visit fddwomen.com.